John Bowler. I'm a firefighter, advanced EMT here in the town of Bow. Today we're going to do a little talking about fire extinguishers and the proper ways to use them, and the different types and the actual method to which to use them. So we'll start off by kind of just talking a little bit about what we're doing today. Today is just going to be an overview and for a training session of how to adequately use the different types of extinguishers that you may find in your workplace or your home. So to start off with, we have 5 different types of fires. We have Class A fires, which is ordinary combustibles, B, which is flammable liquids, C, which is energized electrical, D is flammable metals, and K is cooking fires. So A's are ordinary combustibles such as paper, plastic, and cardboard, stuff like that. Class B for oils is petroleum products, gas, diesel. C for energized electrical is your microwaves, your stoves. But what's important to know about Class C fires is that as soon as you de-energize the fire, it becomes an ordinary combustible Class A fire. D for metals is going to be your magnesiums and any flammable metals like that. And then for cooking oils is your grease, most commonly found like restaurants and stuff. So now that we know the different types of fires, we need to know what type of extinguishers to use on those fires. Here are some of the common extinguishers that we have. Most commonly, the extinguisher you're going to see is this dry chemical ABC extinguisher. And like it is just dry chemical inside. It's ammonium phosphate that is in here with also compressed air. These are good on Class A, B, and C fires, as it said in its name. And you can also look on the front on the label here, and you can see that the pictures for ABC. All fire extinguishers have to have pictures and labels to state what fires they work on. It also gives you a step-by-step of how to use a fire extinguisher, which we'll talk about more in a few moments. Less common, where you're going to find are these pressurized water cylinders, also known as an APW. And just as the name sounds, it is just a pressurized water cylinder. There's 2.5 gallons of water in here, followed by about 100 pounds of air. Again, they look very similar, different colors. This one is only good on Class A fires, ordinary combustibles. Then this one right here we have, this yellow, is for Class D fires, metal. Only works on metals. It's a magnesium-based product that helps smother. So what these two do is they help smother the fire, versus this one takes away the heat. Because in fire there's 3 parts. There's heat, steady chain reaction, fuel, and oxygen. So actually 4 parts. They call it the fire triangle, and then with the middle being the sustained chemical chain reaction. As soon as you take one of those parts away, the fire goes out. Fire needs all 3 of those 4 parts, technically, to burn. Also, what we don't see here is a carbon dioxide extinguisher. It looks very similar to a dry chemical, but it has a little bigger base, a bigger horn, as we like to call it, which I'll talk about for the parts. And that is, just as it says, carbon dioxide, which works on Class A fires. So now we're kind of discussing some of the parts, because they all look very similar. So each one of them has fundamentally the same parts. First, we have the handle portion, which is the bottom for carrying. The top is for your trigger. You have a pin, a gauge, and a hose with a nozzle. They look all relatively the same. The size is based upon the size of the cylinder itself. They also have a tag label, as I said before, and you also see this paper tag, which this one does not have for demonstration purposes. The tag on here, which is just a plastic safety tab, keeps the pin in place right here, which the pin prevents the trigger from being pressed, which then prevents the material from coming out. So all of them have the same fundamental parts, except for this one may look a little different. It still has a handle. The trigger mechanism to release in here is a pressurized CO2 canister, which then pressurizes the cylinder to get the material out. Then your actual trigger to get the material out is over here, with the nozzle being up here. Green safety tag and a paper tag on the back. On the carbon dioxide extinguisher, that has a very large hose with a large flared out nozzle. And again, that's for disbursement of the material. In movies, you most typically see the carbon dioxide extinguishers versus a dry chemical. This dry chemical makes a very large mess. Water would be problematic, and for water you can't use on every type of fire. So for water, it's only good on ordinary combustibles, like I said. You can't use it on flammable liquids because it could cause a much bigger problem. You can't use it on metal because it would cause the fire to get bigger, and it has a reaction to it. Dry chemical would be non-effective on metal fires, so hence why we have a metal extinguisher. The one I'm not talking about is a Class K fire, which is cooking oils, and we don't have the extinguisher here. Those are specialized extinguishers that are typically found in your place of employment and you're going to be advised about it. Mostly we see it in restaurants, and any type of food manufacturing may be done with hot oils and stuff like that. So that's why we see those. It's also better in does less damage on your cooking appliances. So when we go to select the proper extinguisher for the fire we're going to be attacking, we have gone through, assessed what type of fire it is. Is it a ordinary combustibles, a flammable liquids, an energized electrical, a metal, or cooking? Most commonly, and where we're going to be doing demonstrations, is going to be your ABC extinguishers. So once we have established the type of fire and the extinguisher that's safe to use it on, we need to recognize where these extinguishers are. The extinguishers are located near exits. A, to know where your exits are, and B, to grab and maybe put the fire out. Extinguishers are meant for small fires. It's important to realize too, if you have any type of fire in your place of employment, your home, always call 911 to get the fire department started. Because more times than not, fire extinguishers won't put the fire out completely. You'll just keep it in check. So the moment we've established what type of fire it is and gotten the right extinguisher, we're going to take a quick look, check the gauge, make sure the gauge is in the green section, which means it's pressurized to the right pressure, which for ABCs is 195 psi. So now that we've established it, we're going to pop our safety tab off here by simply turning our pin and popping it off. All it is just a small piece of plastic that easily pulls off. We're going to pull our pin. This is an acronym known as PASS in how to use an extinguisher. So P is for pull the pin. A is for aim at the base of the fire. We don't want to go to the top of the fire because it will be non-effective. All the fuel is at the bottom where the base of the fire is. We're going to aim at the base. We're going to squeeze the trigger, and we're going to sweep at the base of the fire until we extinguish it or it becomes too much. What's important to know, and when you're walking up to the fire with an extinguisher, is not to get too close. The minute you start to feel a heat, that's when you can stop and begin the extinguishment. Dry chemical, depending on the size of the extinguisher, will put out product about 5 to 10 feet. So if you're back 5 to 10 feet, it will still reach. And we're going to sweep at the base of the fire until either A, the fire goes out, or it becomes too much, or we have run out of product in the extinguisher. Once you have run out of product, or the fire becomes too much, or the fire is extinguished, you're going to want to back up, face, and you never want to turn your back on the fire because it could flare back up. Again, we've called 911, so the fire department is coming. So we're going to back up facing the fire until we are in a safe distance or outside. That's a good safety tip that we want to make sure we remember, because if we're too close, you can get burned, and fire grows very fast. Follow your business's protocols, and if they have other, make sure you know those and you're aware of them. But again, always call 911. As a fire department, we want to make sure we're getting there faster and sooner rather than later. Research has shown that fire grows in size, doubles every minute, 30 seconds to a minute, which in the case of extinguishment means it's going to be growing incredibly fast. If at any point you start to feel unsafe, again, just back out because the fire department's coming. Now for the demonstration portion. So today we have a simulated fire using a propane and gas mixture, and then our ABC extinguisher with water inside. So what we learned in the video is dial 911 in the event of a fire, and also your emergency response number if you have one at your business. So we have our extinguisher, ABC. We're going to pull the pin with a little safety tab, twist it right off, pull it. We're going to aim at the base of the fire. We're going to squeeze the trigger. We're going to walk up until we start feeling heat and sweep at the base of the fire. Sweeping, until the fire goes out or it becomes too much. Now that we've either extinguished the fire or it's grown too much and we can't handle it with the extinguisher, we're going to walk backwards facing the spot of the fire to never turn our backs to either A, it becomes too much and we have to exit faster, or it flares back up in the event that we did extinguish it. We're going to proceed back to where we're in a safe area and then go to our predetermined meeting spots and wait for the fire department to get there. Now we've concluded the video, we are going to go ahead and have everyone practice this with the prop that we showed in the video. Thank you very much.